Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're looking at my top 10 most anticipated shows for 2022. Now, everyone's list is going to be different. My list is going to be a lot different from your guys' list. So comment down below what TV show you're most looking forward to this year. You can drop me one, you can drop me a bunch, however many you want. And this year, man, it has so much in store that I wasn't expecting. You know, I didn't really, I knew a couple of the big ones were coming out, right? We have Obi-Wan Kenobi, we got the new Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, all the Marvel stuff that's coming. But then there was a lot when I did some research, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know this was coming out this year. And there's a bunch of them. So we're going to get into it. This will be my top 10. I will be doing some honorable mentions in the beginning. Before I go into, please make sure to like this video if you guys have been enjoying it. Please make sure to subscribe if you're new. But let's take a look at my most top anticipated shows coming out in 2022. So first up in the honorable mentions, I have the two DC shows I'm most looking forward to. I have the first season of Peacemaker starring John Cena. Peacemaker was my favorite character to come out of that Suicide Squad movie directed by James Gunn, the new one. You know, when that was over, I felt like Peacemaker had so much to say. And he was like kind of like the character with the most interest for me. So the fact of making a show about it, the teaser looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, like James Gunn comedies all over there. I don't think it's going to be anything too special. It obviously could surprise, but it's definitely one I'm looking forward to. The other DC show is Superman and Lois Season 2. I'm currently binging the first season because the second season comes out, I think, in a couple of days, maybe January 12th or 13th. And the first season is really good. It's solid. I think the main guy's playing a great Superman. The whole family dynamic is really cool. So I'm also excited for season 2 that's coming up. Then I got the Marvel shows that didn't make my top 10. And some of them, I'm not sure, are we getting Secret Invasion this year? Because if we are, I think that might have been able to hit my top 10 because I love the Secret Invasion comic book. I think it's so much fun. The graphic novel is really well done. And then I also have, so Secret Invasion is one of my honorable mentions. If that comes out this year, I'm going to be really looking forward to that. And then we have She-Hulk, which I think is going to go under a lot of people's radar. I'm not a big She-Hulk fan from the comics. But I've heard some rumors about the show. Mark Ruffalo will also be in it. And I think it could surprise a lot of us. And then I have Miss Marvel, which should be, I think it's going to be good. I think it should be fun. But it's going to be like in that Hawkeye territory, I think. I don't think it's going to be like as good as Loki or WandaVision. It's going to be in that more like Falcon or Soldier, Hawkeye. So that's why I didn't make my top 10. So starting off with number 10, I have season 4 of Stranger Things. If you asked me 2 or 3 years ago, what's the best show on Netflix right now? What's one of your top 3 shows of all time, maybe? I would have seriously considered saying Stranger Things. And it still maybe is my top 5, top 6 shows. I think the hype has just died down immensely since season 3. The first 2 seasons were pretty much perfect. It was great television, such a great surprise of this show, especially in season 1. So much fun. The characters were so great. Had that nice 80s vibe. Season 3, I think was solid. I think it was great. I don't think it was as good as those first 2. But I think there's just been so much time since season 3, now until season 4, that I just don't care as much. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I'm still excited. It's still in my top 10. My expectations are still that it's probably going to be really good. But that excitement feeling just isn't there with this show right now. Now coming at number 9, I have Raised by Wolves Season 2. Some of you guys may not know about this show. You know me, I'm a big sci-fi guy. And this show is pure sci-fi. It's directed by Ridley Scott. If you guys know Ridley Scott, he directed Gladiator, Blade Runner. He just directed The Last Duel, Alien. He's a phenomenal director. And this show, it just feels like there's so much sci-fi. That's the only way to explain it. It just feels like pure science fiction. It's sort of about, has this religious allegory to it. There's this, it's kind of hard to, process and explain the actual story. The first season is pretty much about 2 androids that are tasked with raising one of the last humans, and they have to it's like androids trying to raise humans, and then there's a couple of other surprises that's going on. The main android has a lot of secrets to her. It's bonkers, it's insane, it's so cool. The opening theme is awesome. It's a show that I really enjoy, so I had to include this in my top 10. Now coming in at 8, I have season 3 of The Boys. The first season of The Boys was another big surprise that I wasn't expecting. A really different take in the superhero genre. A lot darker, but not DC dark, but their own thing where it was really mature, just bloody, gory, but interesting characters. Homelander became one of the best TV villains of all time. Just in that first season. Stargirl was such an interesting character. It was a parody of the Justice League in a lot of ways. So funny, so fun, and it was just cool. It was a really cool show. Season 2, I enjoyed a lot too. A little bit of a step down from season 1, but still there's so much packed in there that I'm still really hyped for season 3. I think it's going to be great. I'm excited to see, what's his name? Carl Urban's character. The Butcher, his character, at the end of season 2, there's so much there for them to go off on. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do with that and how they're going to play with the Homelander in this season as well. So Boys Season 3, can't wait for this one. At 7, I have another one that's coming out this month, Ozark Season 4. The first 2 seasons of Ozark and the third, it's not going to be for everyone. It is kind of slow at times. Like the actual feel of the show is very dull, like the cinematography and like their style and like their setting. It does have like this dull tone to it. But I think because the story of money laundering is so interesting, and then you have Jason Bateman in there, who's such a reserved but like really great character, and then, he's like bringing his family to like this place to do some money laundering for all these different businesses. His kids get involved. You have all these different groups. Like the cartel. Like it just blows out of proportions. He's got to balance all these different things. And season 3, the last couple of episodes were some of the best episodes of television I've ever seen. They bring in this new character of Jason Bateman's wife's brother, and he comes in and like everything with him in this last couple episodes, like I said, just amazing. It was just one of those times where I haven't felt this in a while, to where like I'll be watching a television show and then I'll just be up till 5 a.m. because I have to keep watching the next episode. Like I can't stop watching. And that show gave me that. And it's so rare to get that. And so that's why I think season 3 was like really well done. And season 4, I hope it gives me that same feeling, which is why I can't put the remote down. You just keep watching and watching and watching it. And so if you haven't seen Ozark yet, highly recommend. Such a great show. Now coming number 6, this is the last Marvel show you'll hear on this list. It's Moon Knight, starring Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke, who's both are incredible actors. Like I think they're both in a different tier than any Marvel actor, at least working today. I'm pretty sure. I think their capability of acting is just so much better than anything we've seen before in the Marvel universe. And that's what gets me so hyped for Moon Knight, 'cause I think it could be this amazing, amazing television show that's better than, like WandaVision, Loki. They have a lot to say in their own right. It's not just, like action blockbuster movie stuff. Like they have good messages in there. I think Moon Knight could sort of stray away from that and just give us like really well-made episodes that have like a lot to say. Because Moon Knight, his character, I don't know much about it. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a big Moon Knight guy, because I'm not. I haven't really even read any of his comics, but I know he has like schizophrenic disorder. There's a lot you can play into there with that. He's pretty much like the Batman of the Marvel universe. And to see Oscar Isaac try to embody that character, it's going to be so much fun to watch. Because like I said, he's such a great actor. And then you have Ethan Hawke playing off of him. Dude, it's going to be amazing. Like no doubt in my mind, that will be the best Marvel show to come out this year. And now coming at number 5, I have The Last of Us television show starring Pedro Pascal and the girl from Game of Thrones, who I forgot her name. But she was great in Game of Thrones, and I think she will be a good Ellie. I think that's where a lot of people have, some like hesitation with that character, is because this actor doesn't really look like her. And there's been like some reports that like pictures that people really aren't a big fan of. I'm not really worried about that. I think she will do a fine job. I think Pedro Pascal is going to do great. And if this show gets the atmosphere right of those games, because I love the games. I played the first Last of Us maybe a couple of years ago, maybe probably like 5 or 6 years ago now. I just played Last of Us 2 last year. Both phenomenal games. Like, ones that will go down as like some of the best games of all time, especially the first one. And I think the second one deserves that acclaim too. And if they get the atmosphere right of those games and just follow the same story, if you shake it up a little bit for the fans, don't let it be pace for pace so they can maybe get a little bit excited. But if they just get the atmosphere right, it will be so good. It will be such an amazing show. I love some zombie shows. Like I used to love The Walking Dead, but it fell off. But if The Last of Us show, like I said, it's all about that atmosphere. If they get that right, follow the story, the performances are going to be good. So I think this could easily be, one of the top shows of the year if they get it right. And on coming number 4, I have one that's coming up just in a couple of days, on January 9th, Euphoria Season 2. If someone was to ask me, like, what's the most well-made show you've ever seen? Like, on a technical filmmaking level, like, what's the most well-made show? I would say Euphoria Season 1. It gets tossed around a lot. They're like, Euphoria survives on vibes alone. And yeah, it sort of does. Like, the vibes and the atmosphere of that show is something like I've never experienced before. It felt like, like pure, I got Criterion Collection, like pure cinema in a lot of ways, Euphoria Season 1. For those that don't know much about the show, Zendaya stars in it. She plays this girl named Rue. She's trying to get over addiction of like drugs. So that's like the main embodiment of the show. She's also in high school, so you have like that high school drama feel to it. Some stories in there are really good. She's a best friend named Jules. I don't want to spoil anything that goes on with that relationship. There's a lot also in there. And the performances are just great. Like, there's a reason why Zendaya won some awards last year for her performance. Sure, she's going to win some for this performance if it's just as good. And it's just really well made. It also has some 2 specials that were on a different level of, television that I've seen. One of them with Rue's character, Zendaya's character, a little bit boring, but then the one with Jules was like crazy. Like, if you're a fan of like actual, like, I don't want to say cinema, but if you're a fan of like, Criterion Collection stuff, Euphoria has like what you're looking for in a TV show. It's crazy, it's so good, and I can't wait for season 2. So now coming number 3, I have the Game of Thrones spin-off House of the Dragon. You guys may not know this, but I love Game of Thrones. It was at one time, like, I would have said Game of Thrones was my favorite television show of all time, because when you're just watching it, and you're like just in it. Like, I think I started watching it, I think after season 6 before season 7, and I watched it in real time. But just like binging season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4, like, masterpiece seasons. Season 4 of Game of Thrones is a masterpiece. It is amazing. Like, I can't even stress enough how good I think Game of Thrones is. The problem with House of Dragon, why it's not my number 1, is because, like Stranger Things, a lot of the hype has died out season 8. Season 8 was not good. And because that season was so bad, you knocked out a big proportion of the fan base. There's a lot of people that just don't give a crap about Game of Thrones anymore. Like, how many people don't talk about Game of Thrones as much? Like, you literally killed off so much hype around that. Like, some people don't even want to rewatch the show because of where it leads to in season 8. And I sort of feel the same way, Like, I'm going to rewatch it soon. I already know I am before this show, and I'm going to love it. But I know that once we get to that season 7, season 8 territory, it's just not as good. I think once they don't have the books to come off of, that's what hurt it. But House of the Dragon, it's based off a book, I'm pretty sure, right? It's based on a prequel book written by George R.R. Martin, I'm pretty sure. And so the fact that they have a novel to follow with, we're going to go back to that Game of Thrones world. I'm still excited. I still expect a lot, but I'm also hoping that it's at least, really good. Now coming number 2, this is where I got Kenobi, the Star Wars show where Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen will reprise their roles as Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. As a Star Wars fan, I know I've been like hating on Book of Boba Fett a tad, but nothing will stop my hype from Kenobi. And there's no way that this will bomb, because I think just the pure bliss of seeing Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan Kenobi, you could just have that on the screen, like just him standing on Tatooine for like an hour, and I'd be happy about that. So the fact that we get to see him coming back, we're going to have Hayden Christensen as Vader, and the concept art already shows some really cool Vader scenes that I'm excited to see, like some of those quiet moments where we're going to actually focus on the mentality of Vader and what's actually going on in his head, because we didn't really get to see that in the original trilogy or Revenge of the Sith. Like, in Revenge of the Sith, it just ends with him becoming Vader. You don't get to see like what's actually, going on in his head. And I think that's so interesting, because I think a lot of the books explore that. So the fact that we're going to get all that, we're going to get some crazy good stories just with those characters alone, what's going to actually happen. We already have concept art of an actual lightsaber duel between them. Will that actually happen in real time? Could it be a flashback? Could it be a nightmare scene? Whatever it is, it's going to be sick, insane to see. I am so hyped for this show. It's going to be amazing. It probably should be number 1, because I think when it actually comes around and I'm actually sitting there about to watch the first episode of Kenobi, and then Ewan McGregor comes up on my screen, it's going to be like nothing else, that we've seen so far. It's going to feel like Spider-Man No Way Home. It's going to be amazing, nostalgic, so much fun to see. I cannot wait. It's going to be only 6 episodes, so we're going to have to really soak this in, and I can't wait for it. But let's move on to my number 1 show that I'm most looking forward to. Coming at number 1, I have the Lord of the Rings television show. It's going to be coming on Amazon Prime. This will be the most expensive television show ever made. I forgot what the actual budget is, but it's like insane. They're putting so much work and money into this. They're putting so much investing. I think it's not going to miss. I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. I just rewatched the whole Hobbit trilogy and the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy. I just finished Return of the King last night. It just reminds me just like how good that trilogy is. Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, Return of the King. It may literally be the best trilogy of all time. And nothing really comes close in a lot of ways. Like, yeah, you could say The Dark Knight, but Dark Knight Rises isn't in the same tier as the Lord of the Rings movies, in my opinion. But this should be really good. I think it's a prequel. I don't even know much about the story. We just had like that one shot that we got of like a landscape shot. I think they're returning to New Zealand to film this. I hope so. That's where Middle Earth, originates from. And I'm just excited. You know, the fact that it's the most expensive show, the fact that we get to explore more Lord of the Rings lore in a television show and live action, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I know that there's like a Game of Thrones show on this list, but I'm sort of searching for that Game of Thrones feel from this Lord of the Rings show, because I think it could be on that tier of greatness. I don't know if House of Dragon, like, I just don't know much about that story, so I don't know what to expect. But with Lord of the Rings, even though I don't know what to expect either, I think the fact that they're investing so much means that I should also invest some of my expectations into this as well. So, that all being said, that's my number one. Maybe Kenobi should be one, but for right now, I'm okay with putting Lord of the Rings as my number one. But remember, let me know down below what show are you most looking forward to. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to like it. Please make sure to subscribe for new. I will see you all in the next video. Have a great rest of the day.